Cornell University returns Native ancestors 60 years after they were dug out of the ground. More on this story coming up.
University hosts Mid-Year Conference with special guests Jane Myers, Amber Midthunder. More on what they had to say coming up.
A Native Healing Coalition seeks tribal support for Indian boarding school legislation. More on their efforts coming up. Welcome to Good Morning Indian Country. I'm Melissa Noriega.
And I'm Alex Minigos.
Glad to have you with us this morning. We have lots of great things to share this Wednesday, March 1st, as we highlight news and information from all over Indian Country.
This project is supported in part by the University of Kansas and William White School of Journalism and Mass Communications in partnership with Native News Online and donations by viewers like you.
Not Invisible Act Commission announces field hearings to begin this spring. Secretary Deb Haaland and Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco hosted the first in-person sessions of Not Invisible Act Commission and announced a series of field hearings that will be held around the country beginning in April. The two-day in-person meeting at the Interior Department offices follows a series of online sessions since the establishment of the commission last year. The sessions are part of the work to implement the Not Invisible Act and combat the crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous peoples. The Not Invisible Act, authored by the then Rep. Haaland and passed into law October 2020, established the commissions as a cross-jurisdictional advisory committee composed of both federal and non-federal members, including law enforcement, tribal leaders, federal partners, service providers, family members of missing and murdered individuals, and survivors. Secretary Haaland and Deputy Attorney General Monaco announced that the members of the commission last year, as part of a live event to recognize National Missing and Murdered Indigenous Peoples Awareness Day on May 5th.
Dean Lyons, an Oneida Nations Turtle Clan member, spoke to 3 of his ancestors during a transfer ceremony at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York on February 21st. Quote, "You will be in the Mother Earth. You will hear the waters again," Lyons said. "You will hear the animals again. You will hear the thunders again. You will remain here undisturbed amongst your relations." End quote. After nearly 60 years, university staff returned the human remains of 3 Oneida ancestors who were dug out of the ground and kept by Cornell's anthropology department in the campus archives. This week, the ancestors will have finally returned home for reburial, in addition to 3 ancestors identified as 1 young adult male of Native American ancestry and 2 children. Cornell also returned the 22 funerary objects that were unearthed by the individuals. Cornell University reported to the federal government in the 90s, as required by federal law, that it was in possession of 4 Native American remains. This year marks the first time it has made any of those ancestors available for representation in tribal nations.
United National Indian Tribal Youth Unity hosted its 2023 mid-year conference this weekend, welcoming more than 500 tribal youth leaders from all over the United States. The conference included workshops, culture events, empowerment presentations, and keynote presentations by Indigenous film producer and writer Jane Myers, actress Amber Midthunder, and casting director Angelique Midthunder. Unity was founded in 1976 in Weatherford, Oklahoma, as a national network organization promoting personal development, citizenship, and leadership among Native American youth. The organization's commitment to promoting Native American youth leadership has facilitated thousands of Native American youth to attend events at the White Culture House, meet cultural and political leaders, and build a network of empowered young Indigenous leaders.
Speaking at the National Congress of American Indians Executive Council Winter Sessions on Wednesday, Deborah Parker, CEO of National Native American New Boarding School Healing Coalition, called on tribal leaders to advocate for reintroduction of the Truth and Healing Commissions of Indian Boarding School Policies Act. In previous consensual sessions, the bill garnered 26 co-sponsors in the Senate and 86 co-sponsors in the House of Representatives. Additionally, the bill received widespread support from various tribal nations, tribal regional organizations, the International Indian Treaty Council, and national Native organizations, including the National Congress of American Indians. NABS is advocating for the bill to be reintroduced into the 118th Congress. The bipartisan bill would establish a federal commission to conduct a full inquiry into the assimilative policies of U.S. Indian boarding schools, collected testimony from boarding schools, survivors, tribes, and subject matter experts, create a findings and recommendations report identifying legislative and administrative actions to address the impacts of U.S. Indian boarding schools.
Former Ogallala Sioux Tribe president pleads not guilty to wire fraud, embezzlement charges. Former Ogallala Sioux Tribe President Julian Red Bear Runner pleaded not guilty to 8 counts of wire fraud, larceny, embezzlement, and theft in federal court hearing on Friday. Bear Runner 37 is accused of stealing $80,000 from the tribe during the time he served as its president. He appeared before the U.S. Magistrate Judge Danetta Woolman in Rapid City, South Dakota on February 24, 2023, following an indictment last fall on 6 accounts of wire fraud, 1 core of larceny, and 1 count of embezzlement and theft from an Indian tribal organization, according to a news release from the U.S. Department of Justice. During the 1-year period between January 2019 through January 2020, Bear Runner allegedly scheduled official travel and received checks for airline flights, hotels, and food despite the fact he was not traveling, according to the court documents. If convicted, Bear Runner could face a maximum penalty up to 20 years in custody and or $250,000 fine. 3 years of supervised release and $100 to the Federal Crime Victims Fund restitution may also be ordered. After the break, Marlon Martinez tells us about the first Native American bishop.
The Methodist Church and community celebrated a historic event. Cuja's Marlon Martinez was in attendance to witness the moment.
Cheers of celebration filled the Countryside United Methodist Church as David Wilson is appointed as the first ever Indigenous bishop in the church's history.
Awesome responsibility for two or three things. One is, first of all, to serve as the bishop, but to represent Indigenous peoples.
Bishop Wilson says this is where his service for God and being a voice for Indigenous people begin.
Working with churches and legislators to help us address some of these issues, to really work for justice towards our people in this area and also around the world.
The church, family, and friends fill the seats to witness the historical moment. Vance Blackfox, a longtime friend, says Bishop Wilson is making a community proud.
It's a day that many of us have been waiting on, and one that is certainly deserved by the witness that we see in David Wilson, who has been working in the church and in communities in any country and outside any country.
The service included a presentation from a tribal choir, a spiritual dance, as well as the gifting of a traditional Native American blanket symbolizing respect, honor, and trust.
This day for Native people is one that we are celebrating. It is one that is important for us to celebrate.
Now appointed, Wilson said it's time to fulfill his duties as bishop.
Looking forward to meeting people, to hear about what's going on, to hear the wonderful things happening, and to hear their struggles.
In Topeka, Marlon Martinez, 13 News.
It's a very thoughtful question to ask in the first month of life after death. We're seeking life after death, and we look at this facility.
Bishop David Wilson will serve for over 900 Methodist churches around the world. Coming up, we have Josh Wagner with more details about the trials and tribulations challenges facing Trio.
Stay tuned.
Josh Wagner. Josh is currently director of the Trio SSS programs at Haskell Indian Nations University and serves as the president of the Missouri, Kansas, and Nebraska chapter of Educational Opportunity Association, which is one of the 10 regional associations that represent Trio programs nationwide. Wagner, a graduate of Haskell Indian Nations University, is a citizen of the Diné and Chickasaw Nation and is also the silver medal winner of the 2008 Women's World Boxing Championship. Welcome to Good Morning Indian Country, Yosh.
Yeah,
How are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, let's get started. So what is TRIO? Can you tell me a little bit about the program and what you have to do with it?
Absolutely. So Haskell TRIO Student Support Service Program is a program that is an educational grant with the Department of Ed. And so what our program does is assist low-income, first-gen, and students with disabilities to be successful at the college level. So.
Oh, nice. So how long have you been a part of the program?
I've been the director of TRIO at Haskell for about 8 to 9 years now. So yes, and this is our second grant cycle at Haskell.
Nice. So what does the TRIO program do for Haskell students?
So what we do is we basically want to have our students be successful. And so what we do is they go into our program. So we service 175 students. And so those students get into the program, and it's wherever they are. So if they're freshmen, transfer, or continuing students, we just basically want to support them. So if that's academic, emotional, do any counseling, and we also help with financial, and then bringing students to graduate programs to have them have the opportunity to see what is out there outside of Haskell. So again, just wanting them to be successful in every avenue, and if they need resources, we definitely try to provide those as well.
Oh, awesome. So what kind of resources can you get from TRIO?
So we do printing, free printing at our program. We do tutoring, so it's 24-hour tutoring, and then helping them to get ready for graduate school. So right now we are on a graduate visit here at KU with some of our students, and so again, looking and helping them to get ready for the future, and if there's anything that we can do, we do workshops and seminars that are geared to help them emotionally, physically, and in the classroom as well. So
nice. So we got a little bit of background about you, that you have been a boxer in the past.
yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I joined the Haskell Boxing Club around 2007, and then got to compete at the national level for Team USA in 2008 in Ningbo, China, and so I brought a silver medal back. Been a Native American champion, ringside champion, and so just trying to get out there, see what boxing was, and then we were part of the so our boxing program was a full Native program. So my coaches and a lot of the fighters were Native American, and so we got to go all over the country to fight and compete.
Awesome. So back to TRIO a little bit. Do you feel that TRIO is essential to other professional areas in your life?
Absolutely. If it wasn't for Trio, I wouldn't have these opportunities. I got into the program as a college student, playing basketball at Cochise College. Our coach basically made us do that. So again, we had the tutoring, we had assistants, we had people who are supportive of us, and so then I transferred here to Haskell and then got into the program and then played basketball. So Trio was very essential to look at what's out there for students. And what kind of networking and support that you have throughout the country. So with the TRIO program, it's not just at Haskell, it's a federal program. So you can find TRIO programs at a lot of institutions across the country. So that's the great thing about the program.
Awesome. So what are your short and long-term goals for the women's basketball team at Haskell?
Well, we are right now getting a bid for the national tournament. And so we will be having our bracket. We'll be doing the revealing bracket tomorrow at Coffin at 6 o'clock. So if you're interested in going into that. And so our short-term goals is to do a great run at this national tournament and be successful. And then our long-term is to win the conference and then again bring some amazing athletes to Haskell and be supportive in any way that we can.
Awesome. That's perfect. Thank you once again, Miosha, for coming on the show and telling us more about these issues. We'll be right back after the break.
Coming up, a Cree actress brings an accurate portrayal to a classical Disney story.
And IHS is granted $24 million in funds for new programs. Stay tuned. Indian Health Service, IHS, announced $24 million in funding for 12 tribes and tribal organizations to invest in the construction, expansion, and modernization of their small ambulatory health care facilities. The funding issued through the IHS Small Ambulatory Program supports the recipients by expanding access to culturally appropriate, quality health care in an environment that promotes patient safety. IHS Director Rosalind So said in a statement, quote, small ambulatory healthcare facilities are a critical part of the Indian health system because they meet the diverse healthcare needs of American Indians and Alaska Natives, end quote. Up to 95% of tribally operated healthcare facilities provide ambulatory services which provide care on an outpatient basis. The ambulatory care health facilities operated by tribes and tribal organizations also provide increased access to culturally appropriate quality health care, according to IHS. Since the program began in 2001, more than 61 projects have been funded, totaling more than $123 million. The IHS, an agency in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, provides a comprehensive health service delivery system for approximately 2.7 million American Indians and Alaska Natives who belong to 574 federally recognized tribes in 37 states.
Walt Disney Pictures on Tuesday released a trailer for its new film Peter Pan and Wendy, featuring Alyssa Wampatutunk. In the new live-action update of the 1953 animation classic, Wampatutunk plays Tiger Lily, a warrior princess of Neverland's indigenous tribe and the daughter of chief tribes. The filmmakers said they went to great lengths to ensure the accuracy of how the indigenous tribes was depicted in Peter Pan and Whitney. They consulted with Don Jackson and Dr. Kevin Lewis during the film's development stage and continuing through principal photography and post-production. Wampanoag's Cree heritage provides inspiration for the character and her peoples in the film to ensure they are authentic. Wampanoag says it was important for the Peter Pan and Whitney filmmakers to portray indigenous culture appropriately. She says playing the role of Tiger Lily helped her understand who she is as a person. Here's a roundup of other new releases from Washington, D.C. from this past week that impact Indian country.
Administration for Children and Families Tribal Consultation on Child Support Issues. The ACF, Office of Child Support Enforcement, will consult with tribes on April 6, 2023, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on programmatic, regulatory, and legislative priorities to facilitate the discussion. ACF invites input on discussion questions posed in Dear Tribal Leader letter. Tribes have the option of attending in person in Atlantic City, New Jersey, or virtually. Written comments are requested by May 6 to the OSCE tribal at acf.hhs.gov.
Indian Health Service webinar on Medicaid unwinding. IHS is collaboration with the National Indian Health Board is conducting an informational webinar on implications of the end of the COVID-19 public health emergency on the Medicaid program. The session will take place today from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Topics covered will include unwinding updates and best practices for tribal enrollment assisters, including healthcare provider, communications and educational strategies with patients. Coming up, an old stereotype gets laid to rest after the break.
Welcome back. AdBack, NCAI acquires Crying Indian and quickly retires him. The National Congress of American Indians announced Thursday that it acquired ownership of the well-known Crying Indian anti-pollution public service announcement advertisement that first aired on Earth Day in 1971. The advertisement, which raised awareness of environmental protection and became part of the popular culture at the time of its creation, was later known for featuring imagery that stereotyped American Indian and Alaska Native people and misappropriated Native culture. Keep American Beautiful Incorporation, a nonprofit organization that created the ad, decided it was time to officially retire the advertisement. The organization transferred it to the NCAI Fund, a 501 public education nonprofit organization that plans to retire the ad permanently. About time.
Thanks for watching this year's 4th episode of Good Morning Indian Country.
And don't forget to follow us on social media. We'll see you next Wednesday, guys.
You guys have a good one. Have a good day.